if I see a man coming at you crazy and about to
Right.
fight you,
Yeah,
I'm willing to
I've
put
done
myself.
that.
I'm willing to
I have
put
done that,
myself,
yes.
and that's the
If I
thing.
see
Like,
it,
if we
yes.
have, if I see it, I don't care if I know you or not. You
Yeah,
a
I
woman, and
really
I don't
are.
think you should be
And
getting.
as a woman, you should always be looking out for others.
But we- that's the thing,
have to
that's
have
not
more
what-
of that
But
camaraderie.
why they think it's not their business, like when
And
my,
it is my business.
yeah, when
So,
my ex-husband,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, my ex-husband that I was married to was abusive. And the lady that lived right beside me one morning, you know how it goes, I went to work whenever he told me to. And this morning he was letting me go to work, and I was like, oh God, I'm almost out the door. And he was like, wait a minute. And he jerked me from the back of my shirt so hard that I came out of my shoes. And I'm screaming for the lady to help me. She looked at me and smoked her cigarette and turned around like she didn't even, she never called the police. She never came to check. And I lived beside her for 2 years. And it was a duplex, so you heard him, you heard everything. And so sometimes we think it's not our business,
Right.
or, and you know, just your HR professional here, it is against the law for you not to report that. It can be a federal crime, but we think it's not our business not to say anything. And we have to have the community to know that I am my sister's keeper. I'm not gonna sit here and let that happen, you know, I'm not gonna do
Because
that.
I feel like these brothers, I don't know, they have some kind of brotherhood where they like, yo, people, they entitled.
Yes.
So, like, the woman don't do what you say, or she don't give you the number, you entitled to slap her, spit on her,
Right.
slap her.
Right.
with a
Where they
skateboard.
learn that?
I don't know where they
Yes.
learned it, but I don't know where we learned that it ain't our business to
Right.
take that.
Yes.
Because I feel like if we are against them, and I don't wanna be against them, like,
Right.
we supposed to love them, marry them, and
Yes.
have babies with them, and
Right.
call them our brothers or whatever.
Yeah.
But if that's not the case, I feel like it's our job to like stand up for each other, which
Well, I
is a
do
sad
know
situation.
where we have, where as women have learned it from. You know, unfortunately, we've had those aunties, those cousins, you know, who have been in abusive relationships for a long
stay.
time.
Stay.
Your brother steps in, he may beat the guy up,
And
the
then
guy
you
goes
come
to
back,
jail, and then you get right back
family
there.
mad.
I'm saying that. You
I've
cut your
seen
whole
that.
family off, you
Yeah.
move away with the guy,
Yeah.
and you calling us
I
again.
did all of that.
Come and get me because, you know, this man done beat me up again. So
Yes.
it's that, you know, repetition, you know, we get
You're like,
tired
I'm
of.
gonna stay
You're
out
like,
of it.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay out of it, and I'm gonna let you learn your lesson, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
also, you know, there are instances too where you try and get involved, and next thing you know, you being slept into the wall.
Yes.
And so you know, you have to think about
I think that's what they're talking
about, you know, personal
Arm
safety too.
yourself.
But
Yeah.
I was inspired because my daughter asked the question, I think it was last week, about something that she had seen on social media, and they were somewhat saying, you know, like, well, we're all the good men. And she was like, I don't know why they would say that. I have all these great men in my life. And I was like, yeah, you do, but that's just happens to be your life.
Right.
Everybody doesn't have that.
Right.
I said, so we have to make sure that we celebrate, you know, the men that are in our lives, that do stand up for us and do protect us, because everyone is not experiencing that. And for those who are not, we have to figure out how do we get, you know, the men in their lives to take that mantle and run with it. But I was really inspired because I saw something on social media the other week about this young lady who had gone to the park to jog, and it was like sunset. And she said she was nervous because it was like 8 guys
Oh,
playing
yes,
basketball.
yes.
And I was like, I'm getting nervous as she's, you know, telling the story. And then when she says, but they stood there and they watched me run my 2 miles, like 2 stood in this corner, 2 stood in that corner, and they clapped it up for me. And I'm like,
That made me
where is
cry. I read that,
I
I
was
saw it on
so-
Instagram, I
I
think.
was so proud.
I represent our community.
And she was like, and I don't know these men. They were just some random dudes in the park. She said, so anybody sees this and you were one of those men, I just want you to know I'm so thankful. And I was so proud in that moment. Because I was like, yes, this is what we're supposed to be doing.
Yes,
Like,
that's what I believe. That's
you
what
know,
we're supposed
it
to
was
do.
so inspiring.
It's examples.
If you see
have
a
to
woman-
set better examples.
Yes, because a lot of men that are like macho, like I'm the protector, like you hear how they speak, and they really do feel like they're the protector of the human species.
Yes.
Like, where are they?
Yes.
And there are men
one of those.
Yeah, they believe like I'm the male, like I'm physically stronger, I'm the protector. I've heard men say that I'm the protector of the male species, so I have to look out for these women in the community. So
Yes.
there was a video story about the man that was watching the woman, I think she was taking her kids to the bus or something like that, and he was standing out there every day.
Oh, yes,
And it was, his wife, she was like, I was just like, want to say thank you. Blake, where are those men? Not the ones that are like, oh, she out there by herself, let me go catch her and
But those
beat her, rape her, whatever.
issues, those the people.
Yeah, but that's a lot though. Why are we nervous? That means that lets you know that there's a lot. Yeah, I don't want to be scared when I walk past in the sundress that they're gonna be like, hey yo, and I'm scared at this point, gonna have a weapon on me.
Yes.
I shouldn't feel that.
The thing reject them, what could possibly
What can happen?
The thing is, and what happens is a lot of people have mental issues. They have issues and the family doesn't recognize it. They don't recognize that it's a real issue and they don't want to deal with it. They don't want that person to go get help, or they don't want to help that person to get help. And those people go out into society amongst us and then they do crazy stuff like that.
Mental illness is still taboo in the Black community.
Oh, it is.
Or even broken homes.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of broken homes, you know, these children that, you know, didn't have any
Generational curses
you know,
too.
they're
Like,
just
stuff
out on their own, you know, and they're mad at the world, you
Yeah.
know, so they're just taking it out on everybody.
And you picked that, like when I told my mother I was going to a therapist after I left my abuse, and why you want to tell everybody your business? Cause I got to, you dealing with this?
Right.
Cause I got to deal with this, and I cannot do this on my own. Like I've taken me as far as I can go.
Yeah.
And if I got to raise two girls who need to see a whole mama,
Right.
mama's got to go be whole first.
Right.
And so they gave me pure hell in the beginning. Now they like, oh, JoJo must be talking to her therapist. Yes, I am. Right. Yes, I am. Yes.
We need to make that more normal.
Exactly.
Yeah, I started seeing my therapist maybe it's probably been about a year now. And when I did, there was a session with my mother about it. But I had to explain to her, it's like therapy for me it's a way for me to uncover the layers of things that have really kept me from being my best spiritual self, from being, and it's one of those things where God can help you with, yes, He can.
Yes.
I know, but if Gwen mentally can't even get to that point where God can, He can reach me wherever I am, but if I'm not open to it, then what are we doing here?
Right.
So I have to, uncover some layers of things that I knew were hindering me from even getting to that point.
Right.
So there's so much taboo around mental health and therapy, having therapy.
Yes.
It irks my nerves. And ever since the moment I started taking therapy, I was texting, oh my, if y'all not taking therapy, y'all
I use the app called Black Therapy.
There's so many. There's so many, and it'll tell you like what they specialize in if they see you in office or on the phone. It's so many of them in their picture, like,
Let me tell you,
and I'm just like, how am I supposed to know?
I asked all kind of
This
questions.
is what it narrowed down to. I was just like, okay, are they in my area? That's one. And then I just started going through looking at pictures, and I found somebody who's like, she looked like somebody I would talk to.
I see a lot, and I see some. I'm like, she look like somebody I talk to because she young, but then she look young. So I'm like, and then there's one that she got the folded arms in the business suit, and she got a little gray. And I'm like, she look mature. Yeah, she look mature. Yeah, I don't want nobody to go straight up pray for me. I don't want nobody to pray for me. Like in certain cases, yeah, in certain cases, I ain't gonna lie. I have people in my family and I have friends that everything I say, they be like, take it to God. I'm like, that's not what I want to hear all the time. Like, I believe in God.
Well,
Yeah.
the
But
Bible
that's
talks about, there being, value in counsel, and in the multitude of counsel, there's safety. So I think that, when people say things like that, they may not recognize that, the Lord is, He was a God of order. And so when you talk about the things that He put in place, He gave us the herbs and things for the medicine. He gave us, the intellect for the doctors to treat us. And so just like He did all that, He gave us a therapist to be able to help us as well. And it's not to take away from His power. It's just recognizing that, again, in the multitude of counsel, there is safety.
He gave us the
I'm looking forward to whenever I'll pick up therapy.
Well, I actually did on my Instagram because people ask me all the time because I'm a psychiatrist and it's different than being a psychologist.
Right.
So I have to help patients. So I always tell people don't come to me because I
You gonna give us
prescribe
medicine.
medicine.
Yeah.
But I'm actually with I work for a pharmaceutical company, so, but outside of that, my little side hustle, I don't, like a lot of my patients and clients, we don't use medication. I try and figure out ways, but in my 9 to 5, I work with an extreme population, like serial killers, murderers, schizophrenics, they have to have medication. But what I did in my post was I told people, because I get questioned all the time about how to find a therapist, and I said they typically will offer 30-minute free consultations. So you can hop around to different therapists and see which one fits, because people will go to one therapist and be like, oh, well, she wasn't a good fit for me, and then they just stop.
I went to
Like,
therapy
no,
once
it's like a
many years
friendship.
ago.
It's a
Yes.
partnership in a sense. So you have to fill out your therapist. Ask questions. Do not be afraid to ask them questions.
Absolutely.
That's what they're there for. And I think a lot of people are scared to do that.
Can you go into what questions that we should ask?
Glad you
Well,
asked.
I my notes out.
Well, one, it depends if you want more of like a spiritual counselor. Because some of them they do faith-based therapy. So that's always important. If you are religious, then you want to ask that. Ask them where they got their degree from. I always want to make sure that they're certified, because in some states you don't have to technically be certified.
Is this the difference between a life coach and a?
Yes, because there's a difference between a mental health therapist,
Right.
exactly, a life coach, a psychologist, and then a psychiatrist. And then ask them what they bring to the table, what they can offer you, and how long their sessions are, and then of course like payment.
Right.
Yeah, that gets a little with insurance and stuff. Ask them how long they've been doing it. And then I always love this question. Okay. When my patients, they typically ask me, like, do I have to take medication? Do you believe in holistic medicine? Like, what solutions are they going to provide? Because some therapists will say, oh, well, if we reach a certain point, you're dealing with extreme anxiety, then I'm going to push you off on a psychiatrist that can medicate you. But if that's not what you want, let them know, like, upfront, I'm not willing to take medication. I want to figure out other approaches and solutions to my problem besides being medicated.
And I think that's what I enjoy most about my therapist. I tell her I hit the jackpot when I go to therapists. Like, first of all, sister's woke, and she is a person of faith, but she doesn't push that on you unless you want to open up that conversation. Like that's if it's a big part of your life, then we need to discuss it.
That's important.
But I think one of the biggest things for me, which is the fact that, okay, you're dealing with this anxiety, but let's figure out what's the root cause of what is triggering this, one, and where did this start at? And there were some things that, once we kind of went backwards a few steps with things, it was just like,
So you know what?
I know that's what
got me here. I feel like I've done a lot of homework so that when I do be my therapist, I'm really ready. Because I feel like I've done so much work as far as the root causes of stuff.
You like
my anger. Like, I know where all my anger and everything comes from.
I know why I got it.
Like, I've done a lot of work and research. I've read about.
Like we were saying, you have all these single parents.
Exactly.
And then you have these sons that do not have father figures or they're in jail.
Yes.
So where are they getting that from? They need mentors. Well, you don't see that a lot of times in the community.
Unless you show me anything. But my thing is you hired me to do this thing. I take pride in what I'm doing. Please allow me to do that.
Yeah, and I think another attribute to consider